with the Lions, which we both are very big fans of, but your thoughts on the Lions?
Yeah, my thoughts on the Lions are you had crazy tension just building, and it all started in that first episode of Hard Knocks when Dan Campbell really set the tone for the next 20 years with his stint with Detroit, with that incredible speech he gave. It is a comeback story where Jared Goff is potentially playing the best football of his career. He's grown into almost a quiet leader on that team because Dan Campbell is so loud. His teammates really don't need him to be that guy, especially when you have other players like Rodrigo on that team, who's a madman. Aiden Hutchinson looking to take that next step forward. And then they had an incredible draft. I think their defense is going to be much better this year. You went out there and got the league leader in interceptions last year in CJ Gardner Johnson, who is one of the deciding factors in the Philadelphia Eagles getting to that Super Bowl because he had another interception in that game against San Francisco. So I think all of that being said, your one problem last year was defense, and you went out there, got a really solid running back in the draft. I think that's going to be huge for you. Went out there, got a solid tight end in the draft. That's going to work out for you. Oh, yeah. Amon Ra and Jamison Williams, when he comes back from suspension, going to have a full year together. So I think the Lions are going to build on the momentum they had last year, and they're going to look to have the run that the Eagles had the prior year before when they are kind of like good, finished the season strong, and then got blown out by the Bucks. I definitely think that's going to be the Lions this year.
Okay, well, let's dive into it. We'll start with the first week. I will say their first few games are pretty tough. They start with the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football to start the NFL season.
Hey man, if you want to set the tone, you want to have grit, you want to start out strong. We had the chance to beat a team that got to the Super Bowl in the first week last year. We had the offensive firepower when they faced off with Philadelphia week 1. They're able to came out of the gates swinging. So I think defensively, they have people who can breathe and stay in front of people and not lose their man. Chiefs coming off a Super Bowl hangover. Usually they start out the year slow. I think they'll be a little bit overamped. And this will be one of those games where you see the Super Bowl team that won last year. Even though I don't think they'll have a hangover the whole year, I think the Lions are going to be way more amped for this game than the Chiefs will be.
I like it. And then week 2 against the Seahawks at home.
Week 2 against the Seahawks. This is another team last year where they played. And literally, if they didn't leave Noah Fant, I don't know. No one was within 10 yards of him last year. CJ Gardner Johnson, that ain't going to fly this year. You have an actual pass rush this year. Seattle was good, took a step forward, got Jackson Smith and Jigba, got some good players on defense. However, do think the Lions are able to go out there, right or wrong from last season. They had no business losing this game. If they won, they could have made the playoffs. Not going to make that mistake twice.
And then week 3 at home again against the Falcons.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we're putting up 40 this game. Do you have grit, guys? Okay, let's go out there, jump off a cliff, take down a Falcon. We're some Lions out here.
And then they go on Thursday Night Football again, another primetime game,
Another
and they're
primetime.
and they're facing the Packers.
Oh, come on. Yeah. No, the Lions aren't going to lose to the Packers this year. The Packers are going to have PTSD from last year, even looking at the Lions. They're going to know they're riding out there with Jordan Love when Jared Goff is going to be like, I'm the one who sent Aaron Rodgers away from your franchise. The fans are going to be upset with the Lions in this game, and it's going to be another time where they fall to the Lions. And I think the Lions beat them for the first time twice in a series last season. It's going to be another changing of the guard. We have a coaching mismatch, a quarterback mismatch, and a talent mismatch.
And then, so I love it. So then we go back home to Ford Field, and they take on the Panthers.
They take on the Panthers. Yeah, Bryce Young still getting his feet wet. He's a rookie quarterback, so he's going to be making those mistakes. Rodrigo, I mean, he's going to be like, you're a rookie. I'm going to be able to go out there and make plays. You guys don't have that many weapons. He's going to be able to get in there, blow up Miles Sanders. You have Aiden Hutchinson now. You got him a duo on the defensive line, and I think it's going to be tremendous. And Dan Campbell, that interaction he had with Frank Reich in Hard Knocks, I'll never forget it, where he just like grabbed him, pulled him forward, made Frank Reich look very meek, very unconfident, and Dan Campbell kind of just dominated that whole interaction. I think that's going to be the feeling of this whole game.
Yeah, I don't even want to ask you what you think about the next week's game because it's going to be Lions versus Bucks.
I mean, Baker, are we rolling out there with Baker? Like,
Could be Kyle Trask.
it could be. Okay, is that better? I don't know yet. Like, is Baker or Kyle Trask? It doesn't matter. I don't care if you eat a Snickers. It's not going to help you win this game. I don't care if you're at home with Baker because we're in Ford Field, right? Or are we in Tampa?
No, we're in Tampa.
Oh, even better because Jared Goff is going to have a warm environment to be throwing darts. Yeah. So, Jamison Williams, when does he come back? Is it week 10?
It's a 6-game suspension.
6 games. So he should be
so
back.
this will be the last game of the suspension.
Yeah. So you kept your head above water without him. You can definitely go out there and beat the Bucks.
Then they face the Ravens away at Baltimore.
When is this?
This is October 22nd, 1:00 game.
October 22nd. Well, I don't know if Lamar's still going to be there. Odell Beckham Jr. definitely won't be there at this point. So I don't know if the Ravens will be able to score more than 24 points. I definitely think the Lions will be able to run the ball in this game. It won't be their best game, and I think this will be one of their slower offensive games, but I still think they can go out there and beat the Ravens.
And then week 8 against the Raiders at home, Monday Night Football. This game should be flexed.
Yeah, no, because we still need to see the Lions on Monday Night Football. They're one of the most poverty franchises in NFL history. Their fans have suffered. So being able to see everyone in the NFL comment on how just awesome this team is going to be next year. Started from the bottom. Now we're here, as Drake said, and that's what the Lions are this season. And the Raiders are going to find that out with a ass kicking on Monday Night Football, 45-3.
Well, week 9, they get to rest after the ass kicking, and then they go to SoFi to take on the Chargers.
The Chargers? Ooh, that's going to be a really good game. But Jared Goff, familiar with LA. JG's going to be cool. I do like him a little bit better than Herbert going into this season. I like his weapons better. You have that Eckler drama, and then Keenan Allen is probably going to be banged up at this point in the season. Mike Williams, we'll see how he's rehabbing from his injury. So do think this is definitely a very winnable game and an absolute coaching mismatch for the Lions in this one as well.
And then week 11, they face the Bears at home.
They face the Bears at home. Yeah, I definitely think they'll be able to beat the Bears twice this year. I like what the Bears are building. However, the Lions are just on such a higher level at this point in the season. I think it's definitely a game they'll win.
All right, so you have them at 10-0 going into week 12, and they have the Packers again at home. You said they were going to beat them
Twice.
times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think you had them beating the Packers twice, right?
I did. Yep. And then they go there, and then they go to New Orleans to take on the Saints. 1:00 game in New Orleans.
1:00 game in New Orleans. Yeah. Whew. That's a tough game. It's on the road in New Orleans. However, it's still Derek Carr leading. I don't know if Michael Thomas is still there. It seems like he's healthy.
Hopefully.
But yeah, I definitely think that's a game they should win because New Orleans is going to be one of those really hard teams to pick this year. Did lose some talent on defense again. Lost another piece on that offensive line. So could be a tough rebuilding year for them.
All right. So at this point, it's the undefeated talk. They face the Bears week 14 in Chicago.
In Chicago? I'll pick the Bears to win this game, and why, you ask, is because the Bears and the Lions actually matched up pretty well with each other. The Lions are hot, and when the Eagles, I believe they were 11-0 as well when they lost to the Commanders. They lost to the worst team in their division. However, it was a tough, defensive-minded, gritty team with a gritty quarterback, which is what the Bears are, and Jared Goff's worst game in his career, and the game that made everybody hate him, was in Chicago.
Yeah, I see the vision. And then a couple games to finish it out. Relatively easy schedule. They got the Broncos to counterfeit that loss against the Bears.
Yeah, so the Broncos are we on the road?
No, this is at home.
This is at home. Yeah, I definitely think the Broncos are going to be a very different team on the road than at home. Definitely think the Lions will be able to go out there and get it done. And I believe Dan Campbell has some connection with Sean Payton as well. So there'll be a friendly rivalry, probably a pregame bet between the two of them going forward. But Dan Campbell has probably in the MVP conversation at this point, Jared Goff redeeming himself and his career, his brand, his image versus, Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Then Minnesota, they face off on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, Dan Campbell's taking all your presents. Sorry.
So they're now 14-1. Then they face the Cowboys on Saturday Night Football, week 17.
Yeah, they had like a close game that the Lions were kind of in it, but then the Cowboys stuffed them at the goal line. So I think this is another loss where Dan Campbell's like, "Hey man, we're right in it that last year when we faced the Cowboys. We have a better team. We're absolutely rolling at this point." Jared Goff has had success versus the Cowboys in his career with the Rams and even with the Lions last year. So I definitely think we have Jamison Williams back. He's finally getting his legs under him. This is a team where Stephon Gilmore's a little bit old, and you have their other corner who makes too many gambles in Trayvon
Trevon
Diggs.
Diggs, yeah.
Yeah, so he's Amon St. Brown's a good matchup for Trayvon Diggs, and so is Jamison Williams. So I think the Lions get it done.
And then week 18 against the Vikings. But at this point, they definitely have claimed home field advantage
Oh, for sure.
against the Vikings.
Against the Vikings, yeah. So you had them benching Jared Goff and resting some of their starters. We claim the number 1 seed. We have the bye. We're the team to beat going into the playoffs. Lions Nation roar. We take a loss just for another win to be gained in the playoffs in our journey to the Super Bowl. And the Lions start their run in week 2, the divisional round of the playoffs.